So I'm finally ready to work on my third and final goal for Preptober, and that is to outline draft 2 of my Gothic novel. I've already come up with the main characters I'm going to have for this book. I might still add more as I continue on with the draft, but I'm pretty settled on who I have right now. I've also brainstormed new scenes and ideas based on all the reading I've done this month, and I almost feel like I'm writing a completely new book, especially when I think about how draft 1 ended. But the main idea is still the same, but I just think draft 2 is going to be so much better. So for my outline, I'm just going to use the Save the Cat Writes a Novel structure. So there's only 15 main sections, and to keep things simple, I'm going to just start off by writing a 1 to 2 sentence summary for each section, and then we're going to move on from there. Okay, so I just finished my outline and I'm feeling really good about it. Even though I've only written about 1 to 4 sentences for each of the 15 main sections, this is already way better than what I had for my last outline. So I'm just gonna keep going with it. I did think about going back and adding bullet points and then doing a chapter by chapter outline, but I really want to get into the writing first before I start adding in a lot more details, because I just find with myself anyways, as I start writing, I start thinking of new ideas. I do want to make sure that things stay consistent and there aren't any plot holes, but that's more so what I want to work on in draft 3, I think. And so right now I'm just trying to get through draft 2. But speaking of writing, my goal for next month is not a word count goal, but it's to finish draft 2 of this. So I'm completely starting over with writing, even though there are parts from draft 1 that I think I will use, so that will kind of help make things go a little faster. But based on my 2 outlines, I will say this is pretty different in structure, even though the overall idea from draft 1 and draft 2 are the same. But yeah, so I'm going to start over with writing in November, and I want to finish a very rough version of draft 2 and then use that draft 2 as what I edit for draft 3 and make it longer, add in more details and that kind of thing. One thing I didn't really focus on in draft 1 were details and vibes and the way I want the reader to feel as they're reading my book. So I do kind of want to incorporate that into draft 2. I don't want this to just be another version of draft 1, but like a different story. I do want this to feel upgraded from draft 1, even if a lot of what happens does change. So I'm just hoping for it to feel interesting, to be more descriptive, but I'm not going to focus on word count. I'm just going to focus on hopefully finishing the entire draft 2. So from chapter 1 all the way, I think I did the math. I want to do about 27 chapters overall, because I'm imagining this whole book will be about 80,000 words, with chapter 1 being a little shorter. And even though I just said I'm not going to do word count, I do know that ultimately I want it to be 80,000 words, and so I want about 27 chapters. So for this first draft, I don't think, obviously, my chapters are going to be the 3,000 words that it needs to be. It might be a couple hundred words or just 1,000 words, but I do know what I want to happen in each chapter, more or less, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm glad I'm done with outlining. I'm glad I've read books. I'm not done reading. There's always way more to learn. 7 books is definitely not enough to feel confident in this genre, but I think I'm at a good starting point, and I just can't wait for November. I would love to know how your Preptober is going. I feel like mine went pretty well. I'm very happy with how I'm ending this month, and I hope you are too.